All right, we're going to pick up right where we left off. We just created this little chord arpeggiation exercise. And the reason this works so well is that what we got here is I've got, I would call this a Do 5/3 chord. So I've got the third and the fifth above it. I would call this a Re 5/3 chord. Again with that third and that fifth. I would call this a Sol 5/3 chord with the third and the fifth, and back to Do 5/3. And to realize why this chord progression works so well, we need to go back to freshman theory. Those of you who haven't been in my class, you won't have caught this part, so I'm just going to refresh it really quickly. My theory of harmonic functionality is that everything comes from the tetractys scale. And the tetractys scale is simply that we generate, since the first interval in the overtone series is a fifth, we generate things based on a fifth. And so, the first thing we came up with was Do, Sol, and Do. And there's the perfect fifth, and then the Do to the Do, that's the perfect octave. And so those are like the first, two distinct notes in the overtone series. Now that also creates a perfect fourth between the Sol and the Do. Fifth plus the fourth adds up to the octave. Yes, in music, 5 plus 4 is 9. And we refer to this as the authentic relationship. We call this the tonic and the authentic and the tonic. And a lot of that goes back to medieval theory, where if we had a scale that had the pentachord followed by the tetrachord, pentachord on the bottom, tetrachord on the top, we called it the authentic mode of a scale. Now what we can do is we can rotate these intervals. Rotating intervals creates what we call a mode. And so if I rotate this, and I'm going to start on Do, that's not, we're stepping outside medieval theory now, but this works anyway. And I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to keep the perfect octave between my Do and my Do. And we're going to just go, now we're going to start with the perfect fourth. And then we're going to go the perfect fifth. And this gives us Do, Fa, Do. And so Do is still tonic. And because in medieval modes, we called the modes that started with the tetrachord, with the pentachord on top, we call this a plagal mode. I'm going to call this a plagal. I'm going to refer to the Fa as the plagal area of my harmonic series here. I'm kind of fudging it because medieval modes would have been technically Sol to Do to Sol, and they wouldn't have used those solfege syllables either. So we're modernizing some things. But the arrangement of authentic on Sol and Fa with the plagal works really nicely because I combine these scales together now, and you've seen this before. This was what we were talking about with harmonic functionality. Do, Fa, Sol, Do. And this is what we call a tetractys scale. Perfect fourth, major second, perfect fourth. There's a perfect fifth between the Do and Sol. There's a perfect fifth between the Fa and the Do. There's the perfect octave out here to Do to this. And this is where we started with our primary triads a couple of videos ago. The Do 5/3, the Fa 5/3, the Sol 5/3, and the Do 5/3, just calling each of those a stable point. And this created our function then. And I kept the same names: tonic, plagal, authentic, and back to tonic as we go through that bass line. Do, Fa, Sol, Do. And then of course we can fill in the rule of the octave. Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. I can fill those in. And of course when we did the rule of the octave, we used passing 6/3 chords here just to fill in. We had a lot of 6/3, T 6/3. And our structural notes: Do 5/3, Fa 5/3, Sol 5/3, Do 5/3. And that gave us harmonic functionality with our primary triads on Do, Fa, and Sol. And it really comes out of this tetractys scale, I feel. All right, well, we can rotate. This is the first mode of the tetractys scale. Tetractys mode 1. But just as I rotated our authentic and got the plagal mode, I can rotate my tetractys mode here. And so I'm going to rotate it and start not with the perfect fourth. I'm going to just move the perfect fourth to the end and start with the major second. Then the perfect fourth. Then the perfect fourth at the end. And this gives me the tetractys mode 2. And now we have do, re, sol, do, which is again a tonic function, plagal function, authentic function, and back to the tonic function again. And so we get this harmonic functionality. Do, re, sol, do. It just works. It works every bit as nicely as do, fa, sol, do does. And notice that because these are structural pitches now, as I go through my tetractys scale, I've got 5 3s on each of them. Do, mi, do, re, fa, la, fa, re, sol, ti, re, ti, sol, do, mi, do. It's just a great chord progression. Or in Roman numerals, do, 5 3, of course, we would call a 1. Re, 5 3, we would call a 2. Sol, 5 3, the 5 3 chord built on the 5th scale degree, 5. And do, 5 3, back to 1. Or in minor, we would have the minor 1, the 2 diminished, the major 5, and the minor 1. Contrast that with our do, fa, sol, do, where our tonic was still a 1 chord. This time we had a 4 chord for the plagal, 5 and 1, and then minor 1, minor 4, major 5, minor 1 in minor. And so we have these as kind of our primary harmonic functions in Western classical music, or in jazz. Jazz is all about the 2-5-1 chord progression. Re, sol, do. Jazz thrives on mode 2 tetractys scales. In fact, they'll often just stack 7 chords on top of it. We're not into 7th chords yet, but jazz, you'll have the 2, 7, 5, 7, and 1, major 7. And that 2-5-1 tetractys just works fantastically for jazz. And so we have this tonic, plagal, authentic, tonic. What you've seen so far is that tonic is consistently 1. That's our primary tonic triad. 5 is consistently our authentic so far. And so far, we've got 2 different flavors of plagal, 2 and 4, which is to say the re 5 3 and the fa 5 3. Now, this opens up a couple of cans of worms, and we're going to talk about them in our 3rd video in this series, but I just wanted to have a video for you to digest a little bit our harmonic functionality and why that exercise, arpeggiating do, 5 3, re 5 3, sol 5 3, do 5 3 works so well. And in video 3, we'll talk about some of the issues that arise, some of the problems with Roman numeral theory versus figure-based theory.